Փարի եկած եք Հոմի Ռուբինա մասնաճյուղի 10-րդ տարեկան Գանանց միջազգային օրվա ցերնարգին։ Անունս Նանոր Շոհմելյան է եւ Գարինե Բեբեջյանի հետ պիտի հանդիսավարենք այսօրվա ցերնարգը։ Օրվա հայդակիրը պիտի ներկայացնենք հայերենով եւ անգլերենով։
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, ARS Canada board members, ARS Rubina chapter board members, Sevan Palvetyan, and dear friends. I would like to welcome you to the Armenian Relief Society Rubina chapter's 10th annual International Women's Day celebration. My name is Garine Bebedjian, and I, along with Nanor Shomelyan, will be your masters of ceremony today. During the course of this afternoon, we will address you in both English and Armenian. We would like to also acknowledge the company of two very special guests who have been our International Women's Day keynote speakers in the past. Silva Basmadjian from our 2013 event, and Ani Demirjan from our 2014 event. Ladies, please stand and be recognized. Thank you.
Հայ օգնության միությունը հիմնված է 1910 թվականին Նյու Յորք քաղաքին մեջ, Հայ Գարմիր խաչ անվան տակ։ Որպես ոչ կառավարական գազམ་ագերբություն, Հոմը անդամ է Միացյալ Ազգերու գազམ་ագերբության։ Այսօր իր մասնաճյուղերով 27 երկիրներու մեջ եւ ավելի քան 15000 անդամներով անգ ներկայանա որպես անգախ մարդասիրական միություն, որ համաշխարհային դարողությամբ գծարայե հայ ժողովրդի ընկերային ու մշակութային զարգացման եւ հայ թե օդար գարոդյալներու առողջապահական ու մարդկային այլազան գարիքներուն։ Թորոնտոյի Ռուբինա մասնաճյուղը իր 400 անդամուհիներուն նվիրապերումով 56 տարիներ շարունակ աշխատած է իրականացնելու հոմի նպատակները եւ ժամանակի հանգամանքով մեր քաղուտի մեջ առաջ եկած բարեգործական գարիքները։ Մեր նպատակը եղած է միշտ ծառայել հայ ժողովրդին իր բարեսիրական, առողջապահական, գրթական եւ դաստիարակչական մարզերուն մեջ։ Իսկ Հայաստանի անկախութենեն ի վեր իր գարելին չի խնայեր միևնույն նպատակով օգնելու հայրենիքին եւ Արցախին։ Շարունակելով ժողովրդիս հետ ժողովրդիս համար դեսլագանը։
Today's event is hosted by the Armenian Relief Society Toronto Rubina chapter. ARS is an independent, non-governmental organization recognized by the United Nations. ARS works to preserve the cultural identity of the Armenian nation and brings humanitarian help wherever the need arises to all communities in distress. ARS is active in 220 chapters in 27 regions. It has over 15,000 dedicated members around the world serving the needs of the Armenian people. With its 400 members, the ARS Toronto Rubina chapter has been devoted to humanitarian and charity work for over 56 years. Its mission has been to promote education and social services, to empower women, and support the needs of the growing Toronto Armenian community. ARS is a strong advocate of human rights, social justice, and civil society around the world, and it truly carries out its motto, with the people, for the people. International Women's Day has been celebrated for over a century in order to forge purposeful action for equality. To this day, International Women's Day is celebrated worldwide on March 8th. It continues to be a powerful platform globally that drives action for gender parity while celebrating the social, cultural, economic, and political achievements of women. The theme for International Women's Day 2019 is Balance for Better, which provides a unified direction to guide and inspire continuous collective action to help build a more gender-balanced world. We are entering an exciting period of history where the world expects balance. Balance drives a better working world and is essential for economies and communities to thrive. We notice its absence currently, but we celebrate how far we have come and what we have accomplished to date. For example, women are championing new ideas, leading award-winning teams, holding the highest levels of political positions, and making million-dollar deals in the boardrooms. However, we must acknowledge that there is still work that we have left to do to create the needed balance and equity for all women and girls around the world. For those of you who are active on social media, we encourage you to post pictures from today's event on your social media feeds using the hashtag ARSIWD2019 and Balance for Better. Please refer to the screens on either side of the stage for these hashtags.
Այսօրվա մուտքի եւ վիճականության դոմսակներու հասույթին մեկ մասը պիտի նվիրվի հոմի մոր եւ մանգան առողջության եւ ծննդատան կենտրոնին, Ախուրյան Հայաստան եւ Civic Action Leadership Foundation-ին։ Հաջեցեք պահել ձեր դոմսակներու գդրոնները դոր պրայզի համար։
A portion of ticket proceeds and lottery sales from today's event will be donated to the Civic Action Leadership Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that provides high-impact leadership programs that create opportunities for young, emerging, and underrepresented leaders in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. A portion will also be donated to the ARS Mother and Child Health and Birthing Center located in Akhuryan, Armenia, which is a nonprofit charity institution that provides free medical services and initiates projects for the betterment of Armenian mother and child care. Please look out for our committee members who will be coming around to your tables at 1:15 to sell lottery tickets to support these worthy causes. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for is finally here. It's now time for Sevan Palvetyan's keynote address. We are very excited for her to share her inspirational story and message with us all. You'll find her full biography in your event booklets. I would now like to invite Talin Palvetyan to join us on stage to introduce her sister, Sevan Palvetyan, our keynote speaker.
Pari Luis, good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be here to provide an unofficial bio for my eldest sister, Sevan. And that bio would begin like this. Sevan has always been driven and always challenged herself to aim high, to raise the bar, for herself and for others. An example, as early as grade 1, Sevan had won the John McCrae Citizenship Award for teaching other students in her class to read. She went on to challenge herself and won that award several times before graduating elementary school. And by the time she had finished high school, she literally had a wall full of awards, everyone for music and leadership, for her involvement in student council. I don't know how, as a young girl, she was able to hang those so high on her bedroom wall, but she managed. And I'll never understood what had motivated her to reach that high, but it's a theme that certainly has continued. Sev describes her values as her compass in life. She does the right thing even when it's hard, and I would call that value integrity. And she does that to make a meaningful difference in the world that she belongs to, the world all around her. In her role leading Civic Action, her role has been to tackle some of the most difficult challenges, complex and multifaceted challenges of our times, like youth unemployment, mental health, inclusive leadership succession, not to mention her many board and political appointment task forces to improve policing practices, define integrated community hubs, or to transform landmark urban areas like Ontario Place and the Toronto waterfront. Seb's honesty and ability to speak truth to power has earned her a seat at many impressive tables. And citizens increasingly have come to rely on her for her honest, articulate, and educated voice of reason and influence, earning her this year as a top 100 most powerful Canadian woman. But perhaps most defining is her fierce loyalty and pride of family. For Sev, family comes first. The eldest of 4 girls and 1 brother, long before she was unanimously appointed CEO of Civic Action in her 30s, she had been encouraging and supporting her siblings to set and reach high goals for themselves. Therefore, championing and empowering the next generation in collaborative ways is in many ways a very natural extension to the role she played in our family and continues to play. To Sevan, family is a verb, and it ends in IAN. Her greatest joy and accomplishments are her daughters, Zeta and Aylin, who are here today, and their happiness and their well-being. And while Sevan is a lake in Armenia that we visited 20 years ago together, one of her own favorite places today, to family, is her own cottage. Watching her girls swim alongside their cousins, making memories together at the same lake where she spent her summers growing with family. Like many Armenians before her, Sevan seems to understand the importance of sticking together. Drive, integrity, honesty, fierce loyalty, and pride to family. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my sister Sevan.
My extraordinary sister, Tallene Palvetzian. What an extraordinary honor it is for me to stand here as we get ready to celebrate International Women's Day, to be surrounded by 400 of the most beautiful, talented, spectacularly, culturally honed women that Toronto has ever seen. Thank you for this great privilege. I'd like to start by thanking not only Tallene for her very beautiful and moving remarks. And let me just say, when your kid sister says she's going to share an informal bio, you're never quite sure where it's going to land. So thank you, Tal, for sharing some generous comments. I'd also like to recognize my mom. Judy Palvetzian is here with us today. It is not easy to have 5 very opinionated children. And Mom and Dad helped to raise us with the values which you heard Tallene speak about, but also with the ability to know our voice. And so I'm so thrilled. This is the first time that Mom's actually been at a speech that I've had the privilege to give. So it's such an honor that she's here with us this morning. Thank you, Mom. And my 2 beautiful daughters, Zeta and Aylin, and my amazing niece, Lilia. The next generation is ready to take the baton and run with it. So it's such a thrill as we think about women, as we celebrate the Armenian culture. It's such an honor that that next generation gets to be right up front and in the car as we drive it to new places. And I want to give a final thanks to Ani, to Huri, to Isabel, and to all of the amazing women that have pulled off today in a volunteer effort that is quite unprecedented. So thank you for that. So I'm a big fan of holidays. And actually, 43 years ago, the United Nations decided to make International Women's Day a big thing. It had been on the books, it had been talked about, it had been celebrated for many years before, but when the United Nations decided to make that a focus, the rest of the world started to take note. That happened in 1975. That year is particularly meaningful because that's the year I was born. So I think it's more than a little coincidental that I've been honored to invited to speak up here today, because the start of International Women's Day was the start of my life. I have a very special connection not only to this day, but to the history within it. My midzhairig, Garabed Palvetzian, came to Canada. He survived the genocide in Armenia, and he came to Canada as a young boy. He did not have much, but he had his culture, he had his faith, he had his work ethic, and he had his drive. He came to Canada. He worked in a foundry. He worked and created a restaurant, and he found a woman to love. Victoria Palvetzian was my midsmama, my grandmother. And the two of them built a life for their 5 children. 3 daughters, 2 sons. The first son was my dad. Some of you in this audience had the privilege of knowing my dad. He was quite something, and he would get quite a charge out of this room in this moment, I can assure you. But one of the things that I so prized about growing up in our family of Armenian people, and my mum, who was not born Armenian, married and fell in love with an Armenian. The two of them raised us to be Armenian, all 5 of us as the kids. We were given Armenian first names. We were baptized in the Armenian church. We sat around many conversations, around many tables, understanding the history of what it is to be Armenian. And that story, this picture beside us of my Midzeitig, I'm in the very odd pajamas, and my sister Ani is on the other side of Midzeitig. We had many hours before we lost him. We had many hours to hear his firsthand stories and to appreciate how special the culture was to him, and it watered our own family's roots. That water took us to Lake Sevan in Armenia. That picture in the bottom left corner is of Tallinn, whom you heard speak earlier. She was studying in Yerevan 20 years ago, and I flew over to visit her for about a week and a half, my first trip to Armenia, her second. And we had many beautiful memories, which I will never forget, and quite something to watch your sister literally splashing in the lake that holds your name. This concept of history is very important to me. And I think by virtue of hearing so many stories around the kitchen table, it was our first classroom. The CBC was always on the radio. The mailbox was always filled of magazines, of newspapers, of news of the world, because our parents raised us to be as curious as you could be. And to question things, not just ingest them, question them, and truly understand what sat behind the facts, the news, the headlines, the stories of the day. That love of questioning took me to university where I studied history. And I loved it so much I did a master's degree in it. But at a certain point of studying history, a flashlight goes off in your head, and you need to start asking some questions. Who's writing these books? Who gets the starring role in history? And who's noted and who's not even in the footnotes? History isn't crafted by accident, and those who get to hold the pen have an extraordinary amount of power as they wield it. So what I found fascinating, and what has driven me in my academic pursuits and now my career, is understanding who doesn't necessarily make it in. Tallinn and I both studied history at Western. I don't remember the Armenian genocide being much more than a handful of sentences lumped under some historical unit at some point. That didn't feel right, because that wasn't what I remember from the stories around the kitchen table that we had, or the stories of Midzeitig and Midsmama talking about their journeys. That wasn't what I remembered. So how is it that so much still sits in the margins or the footnotes? The kind of history that I was most driven to learn sat there. It was the stories that didn't always make it in to the newspapers or the headlines or the books. The stories that were no less relevant, and in some moments even more powerful, but that we needed to name and say. What I want to share with you this morning are 5 lessons that I've learned from strong women in my life who have named and said things that may not be in the business school books, that may not be in the historical novels, but that every one of us needs to understand, appreciate, and I would argue, do something about. I hope that you will learn with me through this journey of 5 lessons that I've learned. The first started for me in Washington, D.C. I moved there after university, and at the time Bill Clinton was president. It was a wild time. And there were lots of opportunities as a young professional to learn. I loved watching the press conferences that took place in the White House. And the woman who was the press secretary, she stood behind the podium. She had a lot of responsibility. She was the only woman that has ever had that job at that time. Her name is Dee Dee Myers. And she was not only the first woman to have that job, she was only 31 when she had it. I was mesmerized by her. But it was also quite interesting to hear how people made fun of what she looked like at times, how her hair looked, what her clothes were like, how she talked on occasion. She wrote a book later. She described some of what that was like. Standing at the most powerful podium in the free world, and people want to know what hairspray you use. One of her learnings was to know your value. She was the first woman. She was the youngest person behind that podium, and they didn't pay her anything what they paid the other guys. She learned that. She learned that the hard way. But I suspect that wasn't a mistake that she'd make again. One of the things as women we need to appreciate is our value. What you are worth. What you will tolerate. And when indignity says it's time to walk away. And Washington, D.C. was a brilliant classroom for learning some of those lessons of what your real value is and how to advocate for yourself and those around you when you see that it isn't being honored. Not negotiating your salary appropriately, as an example, typically separates what you will earn as women by what men will earn in the same job by anything from $250,000 to $1 million over the span of your career. Anybody have some ideas on what we could do with that kind of money? Then negotiate your value. We don't do it enough as women, and it shows. Because the wage gap is still 84 cents on the dollar for women, and it's 2019. The second part of this is around your values. I know many of you in this room have them, and you live them deeply, and I say good on ya. Because life tries to push them out of you through different challenges along the way. My daughter Zeta, for her 9-year-old birthday, she said, Mama, we'd like to have a party in a bowling alley. And I said, okay, let's do that. And so we went to the bowling alley, and because they're kids, they put these bumpers in the gutters so that the kids have a better chance of having the ball go down the alley. Have you seen these before? Those are your values. Having values and honoring them puts a pillow in the gutter of life and gives you a better chance of getting your ball down that alley. And I see it every day of my life, around executive circles, around the front lines of community workers and others. Those who live your values have an easier time in life. It doesn't mean they're easy to honor at every moment, but if you live your value, you are guaranteed for your ball to get down the end of that alley. The next lesson, which Mom helped us to learn at a very young age at the table. When you get a seat at the table, own it. If I could read at times the cartoon bubble above the heads of so many people sitting around board tables, and I can tell you want to say something. I can tell you have a great idea inside your head, and they don't say it. Why is that? We're nervous. We're not sure our thoughts will sound smart on the outside. But let me tell you something, ladies. When you get a seat at the table, own it. So many people would die to have that seat. So own it. That element of confidence you absolutely need. Because here's what it looks like when we don't. Did you know that in the biggest companies on the planet, Fortune 500 companies, there are more men named John who are CEOs than all the women combined? Well, that's a little crazy. When you get a seat at the table, own it. Own it. 21% of Canada's biggest companies have no women on their boards. These are making decisions about your company value, around your portfolio or assets. We got to get in there. And when we do get in there, we need to bring the hands of other women up along the line. This picture on this slide, the woman to the far right, she may look familiar to you. She may not without some gorillas behind her. This is Jane Goodall. Remember Gorillas in the Mist and the amazing work she's done? She's a primatologist. Did you know that 2/3 of primatologists are women? That's not common for most other scientific areas. Do you know why 2/3 of primatologists are women? Because we had a role model as kids. When you see someone there, you can see yourself there. And so owning your seat at the table isn't just about you. It's the obligation you have for the other women behind you that are trying to squish their chair in. The third lesson Dad could have given the master class in. Authenticity is the easiest brand to manage. Who's on social media in this room? Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm not judging, I'm just asking. You know, we can go on those pages and you see these perfectly curated lives and you see the people on the beaches and their tans are glorious and everything looks fabulous and you think, why does their life look so great? And I got a day from days. Authenticity is a leadership attribute that people crave. Who we are does not have perforated edges. Who you are goes with you everywhere you go. Whether that's the workplace, whether that's the kitchen, whether that's the gym, whether that's the community, every part of you is worth having because every part of you is a layer that makes you interesting. Find those people who live authentically and pack them around you. Because I'll tell you something, as a society, we are becoming perilously distrustful. Every year, a company called Edelman does a trust barometer. They do it in many countries around the world. They've been doing it for something like 13, 15 years. They measure the trust we have with each other, with major institutions like government, like banks, and then we map that. How are we doing? Gang, trust is in free fall. Only half of Canadians trust the major institutions, government, business. Authenticity is the antidote to that. And it is a value as a human being that I think makes you quite something, and it's a leadership attribute that we absolutely need to see done more. One of the boards I sit on is on the Ivey Business School Advisory Council. This is a group, Ivey Business, that pumps out the next generation of business leaders. There's 3 pillars, and this is what drew me to contribute my time to this school. There's 3 pillars that Ivey focuses on: competency, commitment, and character. Character in business leaders. The 2008 financial crisis, when a lot of companies went belly up, they've traced some of those pitfalls. Those people who had the lowest levels of character caused the most damage. Those who had the highest levels of character fared the best. So this isn't just a nice to have, this is an absolutely must have. And that leads me to the 4th lesson. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Fact. Think about that. That includes people at work, that includes your family, that includes your community life. Who is melding into you? Because if they're marvelous, you're lifted up. And if they're toxic, you're shaved down. This is something you have choice over. The 5 people you choose to spend the most time with will help carve other layers of your life and help make you feel like you're living yours to the absolute fullest. Who's heard of something called tall poppy syndrome? Anyone seen a poppy field before? It takes the breath out of your body. It's gorgeous. Millions and millions and millions of poppies. They're very low to the ground. They're red, they're beautiful. We wear them on Remembrance Day. You've seen them. They're gorgeous. But every once in a while, one little rogue poppy grows too high. Tall poppy syndrome means you grab that tall poppy and you yank it out of the ground. Because I don't like how uncomfortable your height makes me. It's sick. Why would we not celebrate exceptionalism? Why isn't it beautiful that one poppy decides to grow higher than the rest? Did you know that 87% of women in Canada have experienced tall poppy syndrome in the workplace? You try to get that seat at the table, you try to get your idea out, you try to get your hand up for the promotion, and someone mows you down. The 5 people you're going to spend the most time with, make sure that they are tall poppies who love that you are too. And because we had so many siblings growing up, I was born in a natural tall poppy field, which is quite something, and I thank Mum for not only growing us, but watering us every single day since. My last lesson. My girls know this one. The world wasn't shaped by wallflowers. See these pictures beside me? My girls did those. They hang in my office. They're wildflowers that hang on my office wall. Anybody that gets anything done has to seize that confidence gap that exists inside you and close it. I can tell you from studying history, I can tell you from being the proud product of proud Armenians who lived a different history. I can tell you as a woman who's worked on both sides of the 49th parallel. I can tell you as somebody who tries to spend most hours in my day doing something meaningful, that the world was not shaped by wallflowers. Girls and boys have virtually the same confidence level right up until age 12. And then it drops by 30% like that. Why is that? That's not acceptable. Catch those girls. Don't let our daughters, don't let our granddaughters feel any differently, feel that they can't edit life any more than anybody else because they're young women or girls. The world wasn't shaped by wallflowers, and none of you in this room are one. So carry that power with you and share it with the young women that are coming up beside you. Because if we don't embrace that power a little bit more, ladies, it's going to take 217 more years for gender equity to happen. 217 more years. My kids know I am not a patient lady. But 217 years feels a little bit extraordinary. Yeah, let's agree on that. My job at Civic Action is about taking those folks that refuse to be wallflowers and doing something with them in city building. Every 4 years, we have a summit. Hundreds of people come from business, from government, from labor, from academia, and we don't care what sector you come from. We want you to agree that the 4 or 5 topics that Civic Action is going to work on are important to you, and you want to do something about it. Do something about it. We're Civic Action, not Civic Chit-Chat. So we have these areas that we decide to focus on, and we look for some of the most passionate, diverse leaders that we can possibly engage to build the cavalry of actors that act. We have in that network 2,000 rising leaders. I want every young Armenian woman in this room or who may hear this message to join that community with us. We have 2,000 rising leaders who show up at events monthly, who decide to dive into city building, who say, I'm not happy with the levels of youth unemployment. I'm not happy with the element of mental health in our workplaces. I want to do something about it. I don't want to be a wallflower. And so they come to this organization with us. And it is such a deep privilege of mine to get to see them grow as tall poppies everywhere. And look at these faces, would you, for just a moment? There's a picture beside me of last year's group of our Diverse City Fellows. There isn't a boardroom in Toronto that looks like that. Give us time, and we'll make sure of it. Because there's extraordinary talent there, and it's such an honor to be able to make sure that that pipeline gets to the very top of where the tap drips out. In these 15 years of civic action, we've touched many broad topics. And when I think about the work that you've done as well, helping our Syrian refugees make Toronto and Canada home, investing back home in Armenia for many of the organizations, for children, for mums, for their babies who desperately need it. One of the things that attracted me to this chapter, that attracted me to this morning, was the passion that you are each involved in as individual community builders. It is a multiplier effect, your engagement. There isn't a force on earth that's greater than it. And to see it in this kind of collective body is nothing short of remarkable. So I've shared with you in these past 20 minutes some of the progress that's happened, some of the opportunities that have been there, and some of the small role that I've played here and there from the margins in writing my own version into that. But ultimately, to you powerful women in this room, I want you to grab your own pen, and I want you to write the heck out of whatever next chapter you choose to write. You're not wallflowers. You are 5 people I'd want around me. So have each other's backs, grab that pen, write in the unique and powerful voices that only you have. But on behalf of all of us, and certainly me on the stage this afternoon, I thank you. I thank you for writing, for highlighting, for double underlining, and for making it your own. Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Sikaria, and I'm going to be playing a piece on my flute called Renewing the Promise. And this piece was written for Catholic Education Week at school, and it was written by a music teacher from the Toronto District Catholic School Board named Susan Ho Kong Taylor.
Hello, my name is Nadine Tizian, and I will be singing some songs by the most powerful female vocalists I have been inspired by. Christina Aguilera and Adele's soulful lyrics are one of the reasons I love their music. This first song is called Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. Every day is so wonderful, and suddenly it's hard to breathe. Now and then I get insecure from all the pain. I'm so ashamed. I am beautiful no matter what they say. Words won't bring me down. I am beautiful in every single way. Yes, words won't bring me down. Oh no, so don't you bring me down today. To all your friends, you're delirious. You're so consumed in all your doom, trying hard to fill the emptiness. The pieces gone and the puzzle's undone. That's the way it is. You are beautiful no matter what they say. Words won't bring us down. Oh no, you are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words won't bring you down. Oh no, so don't you bring me down today. No matter what they say, and everywhere we go, the sun won't always shine, always shine. But we are beautiful no matter what they say. Words won't bring us down. Oh no, we are beautiful in every single way. Words won't bring us down. So don't you bring me down today. Don't you bring me down today. This next song is Adele's Someone Like You. I heard that you're settled down, that you found a girl and you're married now. I heard that your dreams came true. I didn't give to you. Old friend, why are you so shy? Ain't like you to hold back or hide from the light. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. You know how the time flies. Only yesterday was the time of our lives. We were born and raised in a summer haze, bound by the surprise of our glory days. And I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Nothing compares, no worries or cares, regrets and mistakes, their memories made. Who would have known how bittersweet this would taste? Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead.
My name is Mina Saturian. I will be performing a couple of songs for you today. Our first song is called Batranki Tebov, composed by Marine Alas, and it is about the women figure that all of us have in our lives, our mothers.
Դու ինձ օրհնիր, մայրիկ, որ որդիդ բանդուխտան ցորդ է, շուրջ բոլորն էլ անծանոթ են, դու ինձ ներիր, մայրիկ, դու ինձ փրկիր, մայրիկ, որ հոգուս շշուկն ու ջիջը չդարձնեն ինձ իմ դահիճը, դու ինձ փրկիր, մայրիկ. Ես ինչ անեմ, հայրիկ, որ անհակ բախտի հարցերը մոռանան իմ հասցեները, ես ինչ անեմ, հայրիկ, դու ինձ օրհնիր, մայրիկ, դու ինձ փրկիր, մայրիկ, ախ Երանի Ver arnem terçun darnam Toğnem adar cana barner Ver arnam Verden şemin lorğun arvat Kez patatlem Ah Yerani Mayrik asnem Gagit natsem Verçin ankam manum darnam Արդեն գիտեմ, մայրիկ, որ անցած է ժամանակը, սահմանված է ծիսակարգը, արդեն գիտեմ, մայրիկ, հիշում եմ միշտ, մայրիկ, մեզ մաքրում են փորձանքները, կյանքն էլ մեծ սիրո պարգևը, հիշում եմ միշտ, մայրիկ, Գորգիներիր, մայրիկ, որ անցյալս նախեր կանքեր, իսկ ներկաս նրա պատրանքն է, Գորգիներիր, մայրիկ, դու ինձ օրհնիր, մայրիկ, դու ինձ փրկիր, մայրիկ, ախ Երանի, թե վեր Terçun darnam Toğnem adar cana barner Ver arnam Kagam şemin lorğun arvat Kez patatlem Ah Yerani Mayrik asnem Gagit natsem Verçin ankam manuk darnam Ah Yerani, te çuşana.
Hello, ladies. My name is Gohar, and I'm going to be taking you back to 1960s. And I'm going to be singing a very beautiful song all about love, Amado Mio.
Amado mio, love me forever and let forever begin tonight. Amado mio, love me forever. I'm in a dream world of sweet delight. Many times I whisper, Amado mio. It was just a phrase that I heard in place. I was acting a part. But now when I whisper, Amado mio, can't you tell I care by the feelings there? 'Cause it comes from my heart. I want you ever, my love, my darling, wanting to hold you and hold you tight. Amado mio, love me forever and let forever begin tonight. Hey! Many times I whisper, Amado mio. It was just a phrase that I heard in place, but it comes from the heart. But now when I whisper, Amado mio, can't you tell I care by the feelings there? 'Cause it comes from my heart. I want you ever, my love, my darling, wanting to hold you and hold you tight. Amado mio, love me forever and let forever begin tonight. Let forever begin tonight, and let forever begin tonight.
Grigoryan. The next song I will be performing is called Pardonne-moi ce caprice d'enfant, written by Patricia Carley and performed by and popularized by Mireille Mathieu. I think it's a song that's dear to all of us, so enjoy.
Pardonne-moi ce caprice d'enfant, pardonne-moi, reviens-moi comme avant. Je t'aime trop et je ne peux pas vivre sans toi. Pardonne-moi ce caprice d'enfant, pardonne-moi, reviens-moi comme avant. Je t'aime trop et je ne peux pas vivre sans toi. C'était le temps de je t'aime. Nous deux on vivait heureux dans nos rêves. C'était le temps de je t'aime. Et puis j'ai voulu voler de mes ailes. Je voulais vivre d'autres amours, d'autres je t'aime, d'autres toujours. Mais c'est de toi que je rêvais la nuit, mon amour. Pardonne-moi ce caprice d'enfant, pardonne-moi, reviens-moi comme avant. Je t'aime trop et je ne peux pas vivre sans toi. C'était vouloir connaître tout de la vie, trop vite peut-être. C'était découvrir la vie avec ses peines, ses joies, ses folies. Je voulais vivre comme le temps, suivre mes heures, vivre présente. Plus je vivais, plus encore je t'aimais tendrement. Pardonne-moi ce caprice d'enfant, pardonne-moi, reviens-moi comme avant. Je t'aime trop et je ne peux pas vivre sans toi. ինձ համար դու շող գարունում այ քո սրտում ես վարքնար դու ծաղկում ես որ ես հայր շողամ ու փարվեմ քեզ որդերով որդագույն Երևան երկարեմ ագաղած ու մատյան քո գարգում ես կապրեմ հավիտյան մեր հոգի գոհար մեր հողի գոհար Քարև շեքխաղոնու ու քարերը ձերքանու